Darkness Vampire Requiem. Requiem for London. It has been but a few nights since the absolute carnage that was wrought across the inner city of London and upon Balthazar's person. Assaulted the heart of London by armed soldiers, hunters. In the gunfight that ensued, Balthazar managed to escape with one of his hunters. Controlled and wounded, but not dead. After escaping the sheriff, he has managed to relocate them on the north side of London. Not where the sheriff would normally take anybody. This is not his jurisdiction, but he has little choice. Balthazar, you're given a message on your phone which states, it just gives you an address, a series of storage units just north of Forest Green in Haringey. And a simple message stating there are questions that need to be answered.
Balthazar will sit up in his he's going to be living in his casino now, I've decided, so it has private rooms, so he will make it his haven. And he will dress by placing on his Kevlar armor, and he will throw a coat over it, because last time he dealt with these people, he got shot a whole bunch of times. He's not entirely sure he's not going to get shot a whole bunch of times. You know what I mean? But he will go downstairs, and rather than get in his very conspicuous town car, he is going to instead hail a black cab that is going to take him to where he needs to go.
Okay. The cab will take you all the way up into Haringey. A relatively short car journey when the traffic isn't doubling its length. It's not something you often notice, but nights have gotten a little bit colder recently. Winter is very much coming, and the sky is clouded over. You can see the sort of the thin light of the moon piercing the clouds. It's ever so slight. You're not even sure if a regular mortal would notice. But to you, it's a pretty distraction. When you arrive, you see the self-storage facility. You see that there are no cars parked outside but one. A grey SUV. Looking at your phone, you see the storage unit you're meant to go to is on the far end. It's one of the larger ones.
Coldmorn will walk through the storage site. The only sound really is the clicking of his cane on the ground.
Walking up to the storage unit, as you walk on through, you see that the area is quite not run down per se, but substandard. The shutters on a lot of the units are showing a lot of wear and tear. Brickwork has become quite worn down. It's seen better days. But as you make your way to the larger unit, you see a man in a navy blue pea coat with an office shirt and a black tie. Short brown hair, looking at you. And as you look at him, as you look into his eyes, you feel the presence of the beast.
Have I met this gentleman before, or have I not?
Roll me intelligence politics roll.
Let me see what Balthazar's politics are. I know he has some of it.
I'll give you the. Let me see real quick. I believe you'll actually know this person out of character.
One success. No, I've never met that character before.
You definitely have. He tried to kill Joshua once.
He tried to kill who?
He tried to kill Joshua once.
Yeah, is he the guy who I hit with an axe?
Yes, I think he is the one you hit with an axe. There were several, but this is the one you hit with an axe, I think.
He was an Archon under Graves.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that is, the man's name is Cavill, and as you have correctly stated, he is an Archon. Under,
The name was Cavill, yes?
Cavallon, yeah.
Cavallon, alright.
Mm-hmm.
What clan is he doing?
He's a Deva.
Ah.
Of your blood. Not of your bloodline, you think, but of your clan. So a cousin. Archon under Sheriff Moriken.
Balthazar will extend his hand. Archon, delighted to see you this evening.
He'll return the gesture. Doesn't elicit anything even remotely resembling a smile, but he'll give you a nod of acknowledgement and say, likewise, Sheriff is already inside.
Understood. Is this gentleman also in the Invictus?
Yes.
Well, shan't keep them waiting, shall we? He actually makes a comment as he says, bit of a chilly night, wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Never was a fan of the winter months in my youth.
Funny how it is in our, shall we say, our old age, our stopped age, perhaps, that we tend to cling to the longer evenings, Balthazar will say. But yes, We shan't keep people waiting. He will walk into the storage unit that he's been designated to go into.
Yes, wouldn't be a good idea. The sheriff is particularly severe this evening.
Well, considering these individuals decided to break the masquerade like an eggshell, I should think that he would be most on edge.
Yes. Yes, I believe you're right.
But yeah, Balthazar will step into the storage container.
Step into the storage container, you'll see that it is a largely empty room. There are some metal shelves off to each side. There's also a blue trolley on it. There's a transformer with two wires and some connectors at the end. Uh, there's a car jack. Uh, there's a machete. You think you're just looking at tools of torture, although they haven't been used yet.
Momentary wrinkling of distaste in the nose. Balthazar doesn't particularly like torture. He believes there are far more refined ways of getting information.
Camelon seems to notice your distaste and simply says, hopefully they won't be necessary.
Ah, yes, quite so.
But you'll see the sheriff. Our guest.
Ah, yes. Good afternoon. Or good evening, rather. Balthazar will say as he walks forward, once again extending his hand to shake the sheriff's.
He'll shake your hand. He's brusque and quick about it.
I should also make notice, unless Balthazar specifically states otherwise, he always wears gloves, like leather gloves.
Sure thing. Let's not waste time. We have work to do. Work to do quickly. He turns back to your subject, his subject. You'll notice that he's largely been stripped down. He's only wearing a vest and some pants. You're not sure where all of his equipment or his clothes have been taken to. He certainly doesn't have them now.
Does he appear to be conscious?
He is conscious. He gives you a look of recognition.
Oh, of course, and remember, I'm technically his domator. I ghouled him in the scene, if you recall. Because it was the only way to fix his head wound.
Yes. He doesn't appear particularly sharp, but he seems awake enough that he knows he recognizes
you. Well then.
You fucking prick.
You tried to kill me, in my defense. I should think that you should think about that before you go leveling insults.
Don't go shooting anybody that doesn't deserve it.
Next time, if I may make a recommendation, should there be a next time, how to best phrase this? Don't bring a pea shooter to a gunfight. He casually.
Oh, sorry.
He's going to turn to look at the sheriff, and he kind of raises an eyebrow and he says, "Am I doing this or are you?"
I've been busy moving him around for the past 72 hours.
Very well.
Now that he is your subject, I'll allow you to conduct interrogations. You have earned the right to answers.
Would you mind terribly if I make bold your Archon? He says, pointing his cane at the Archon.
What did you say about his Archon?
Would you mind if I make bold of your Archon, aka may I ask them to do something for me?
Make your suggestion.
This may get quite involved, and there may be quite a lot of talking. If you wouldn't mind just taking pertinent notes.
Cavalon, the recorder.
Excellent. So, Balthazar kind of hunkers down to look at the gentleman. So, Chris, I'm kind of curious. Which do you think would be better to use? Would loyalty or just straight out dominate be better in this situation?
Dominates faster. Dominate's main weaknesses are the limitations of eye contact and the fact that it can only affect one person, and that under certain circumstances it breaks. Usually under violence, physical trauma, but sometimes psychological. Uh, you think Dominate would be largely more effective here? Majesty results in a bit of unpredictability on the part of the victim.
Yeah.
Individuals will do what you say, but they'll do it in their own way, if you understand. Whereas Dominate, they'll just mindlessly do what you want.
Right, well, we're still going to pop on awe, just because it might be useful anyway. And there's no point not doing it. It's free anyway. So in that case, we'll start off with a mesmerize, which is my intelligence plus expression plus dominate.
Mm-hmm.
So my intelligence is 4. My intelligence is 3. My expression is, need to find that on my sheet. 3, so that's 6. Plus 4 for my dominate is 10. So rolling 10 dice. Oh, 5 successes.
Alright, let me just roll for them.
It is their resolve plus blood potency.
So they only get their resolve. Okay. The Dominate takes effect. His head quivers.
All right. I'll spend the point of vitae. Oh! No, I don't have to with Iron Edict, because he is in a Vinculum with me. That's nice.
Yes. So you can just impart the dominating condition as opposed to mesmerize, which means the command will be significantly more powerful and harder to break.
Now then, let us be civil and polite. Baldassar says he sits down. Like if there's a chair, he pulls up a chair and he sits down. Before he will say, "What is your name?"
Jack Thomason.
What regiment were you a part of, Jack? You served in Her Majesty's forces, didn't you?
Military?
Yes.
One second. I actually have to look this up. Special Forces.
I see. And in what capacity and to what entity are you currently employed?
The London Metropolitan Police.
Under what commanding officer?
Commander Kraken.
Very good. Very good, my boy. Tell me what it is you. So, Chris, I'm going to have to get you to jog my memory here. Matt spoke about a specific organization and then an organization within that organization. What were the prefixes for it? I can't remember the number, or not the number, the letter prefixes of it. Like NLLPD or something like that. I can't remember.
Um. It was CTC and ECTC.
And tell me everything you know about the ETCT. Was that it? ECTC?
ECTC.
ECTC.
We are Extraordinary Counterterrorism Command.
Extraordinary Counterterrorism Command. Where are you based?
I don't know.
Where do you receive your orders?
Scotland Yard.
Under Commander Kraken. It was Kraken, wasn't it? Are you aware of any other individuals other than myself who the ECTC had slated for execution?
No.
How was it that you were given the assignment to murder me?
We were called, given a briefing, and then launched the operation.
I see. I see. Very disconcerting. Well, I want the names of your fellow officers, those who you can recall.
He begins laying off some names for you. But they're quite clearly code names. They're letters. They're letters in addendum to numbers. So it's like, how to put it? Like, VS1, VS2, VS3.
Let
It
me
appears that
think.
actual names aren't used that much in operations, at least. Everyone goes by code names or pseudonyms. He does give you names of a few CTC officers that he knows of, but he knows surprisingly few names of anybody in ECTC.
Huh.
He does give you a few, though.
Okay. Is
About two or
there?
three. Seems to be
Hmm.
people that he either knew well before he joined or that he got to know on the job, but it seems that name sharing isn't a huge thing within the ECTC, from what you're gathering.
If you were to suddenly return to active duty, having fought your way clear of this rather lamentable situation that you find yourself in, with records, items, and other trappings to prove that you had escaped, what is the likelihood that the ECTC would simply terminate you?
I don't know. It is a possibility.
Fascinating. He kind of looks to the sheriff and says, "Do we know this Commander Kraken, or is that another code name?"
I do not know such an individual personally. I could inquire.
It seems like a likely road of inquiry. Where was it that they kept the weapons that they distributed to you? Most of the arms you used were not standard issue for Scotland Yard. Where were they being kept, stored, and maintained?
Some are kept in Scotland Yard, others were collected beforehand. I do not know where they came from.
Have you been involved in the execution of any other individuals, such as myself, or was I your first mission?
You were the second.
Who was the first?
The leech's name was Vo Wei.
Is that a name I recognize?
Roll me intelligence politics.
You know, this one seems kind of important, so I'm going to spend a willpower. Oh, only one off the exception.
You recognize that name vaguely.
Who are
It
they?
was Invictus Neonate. Not of particularly high station, but enough for you to remember.
What clan?
Ventry.
Looks towards the sheriff, because the sheriff is also an Asian venture, isn't he?
Yes, do you want to roll me a wits empathy?
I sure do.
You
Uh,
might get penalties here, I just need to double check because he actually has a merit, which I need to double check. I think it affects doors and empathy checks. 1 second. All right, yeah. Yeah, you take a -4 dice penalty.
I had to burn willpower for those 3 dice.
Yeah.
2 successes.
Okay. Underneath the layers of stoicism that the sheriff exudes every time you see him, you see a twitch in his eyes, a twitch of recognition, and his body tenses in an extremely subtle way.
Balthazar will raise an eyebrow before he'll say to the sheriff, "An acquaintance of yours?"
One of the blood.
I see. Nasty business, this. Very nasty business. Well, let me think. Let me think. Chris, is there any questions that I have asked that I haven't asked this person that would be blaringly obvious? Anything that jumps out at you that is a major hole that Balthazar might know that Evan has forgotten?
Could maybe ask for some more details on the operation which led to the assault on yourself. Given that it was relatively well thought out, like they knew where you were going, they knew enough to know that you'd probably be in that park, or they were following you well in advance. So they clearly had a fair degree of information on you.
How is it that you were able to gather information that led to the attack upon my person, knowing my nightly schedule, etc.?
I do not know how your location was obtained prior to the operation being launched. Once the operation was launched, we need to trace you via a drone until you would be in a relatively secure location. I believe your kind referred to this location as Masquerade Safe.
How much is it that you are aware as to my kind?
We are aware that you structure yourselves into clans and political sects called covenants. We are aware that you feud with each other. We are aware that you were recently engaged in a war. We are aware that war is likely to break out again.
Why do you say that?
Your current power structure is currently divided into two parts, which is atypical of your kind.
The drone that followed me, do you know where the data it was collecting was sent? Who was watching? And where?
We have a mobile operations unit.
Are those vehicles stored in Scotland Yard?
Among other locations.
You will give me a full list of those locations that you are aware of.
I'm only aware of Scotland Yard.
Understandable.
And to think I am the guy who's told almost nothing.
Oh, but my dear friend, you've told us so much already. Balthazar will kind of look at him before he just smiles. Can I order him to sleep?
You can, but he won't physically fall asleep. He'll just sort of remain there,
Going
semi-conscious.
going dormant, basically.
Yeah, if you ordered somebody to sleep, what would normally happen is they would literally find a place that would be comfortable and then curl up into a ball and start trying to go to sleep. But actually trying to sort of alter someone's physiology through dominate is probably require a devotion. You think it's possible, but it would require a devotion most likely. It would require some experimentation. Diodo probably know a way to do it.
He will in that case turn. It doesn't matter since I'm going to fuck with this person's memories anyway. But he looks up at he looks up at the sheriff and he says, "You understand what it is that he's saying, I assume, in the sense that this more than likely seems like a mole."
I'm unsure how anybody else would be able to procure such information on our kind, particularly our covenant in particular. We are scrupulous. I am scrupulous.
Yes,
I do not allow masquerade breaches to go unpunished within my domain.
yes. This is a fly in the proverbial ointment. What to do, what to do, what to do, what to do, what to do. It must be someone who's been leaking information, which means they've put not just the bloody city, but the entirety of the masquerade in dire jeopardy. And the only way we can find out more information is if we tap one of the higher ups in this organization. The only name that we have of any value or consequence is this Commander Kraken. Short of breaking into Scotland Yard, which is not something that even, that would mean going louder than the 4th of July, which is probably, or indeed Guy Fawkes Night, which is probably not a viable option.
The sheriffs and the other sheriffs and the king and queen need to be informed.
Yeah.
We have a traitor deliberately breaching the masquerade.
We are Invictus. We are the unconquered. He looks up at him and he says something very, very interesting. When he will say, "The king must be informed, and he may decide whom else must know," I feel it would be the correct course of action. After all, this can still be turned to our advantage.
The sheriff will walk up to Jack. We'll grab him for the throat, so he has no choice but to look into his eyes. And we'll say, "How many more of us did you intend to kill? How many more operations like this did you have planned?" And as similar to yourself, the force of dominate takes over, but he doesn't really resist it. He will simply say, "Dozens."
Oh dear, dear, dear. These individuals have managed to outmaneuver us, have managed to outplay us, have managed to, in certain circles, bring more influence to bear than we can. And they've known just where to hit us. This is a Rather bleak situation. My recommendation, Sheriff, if you'll take it, this man could be reinserted into their ranks. The powers of the blood used to keep him compliant and silent until he makes monthly reports to us. Having a mole at some level of their organization is, after all, useful.
I dumped most of his equipment. I didn't want the risk of it being bugged or traced back to us.
Yes.
Some of it could be reacquired or duplicated.
I don't believe his equipment is important. I believe the story is what is important, vis-a-vis what it is that he informs his nascent superiors, how it is he escaped. But good stories can be crafted, he will say. Equipment is secondary. He doesn't need it. As a matter of fact, it would make sense for him not to have it if he was our prisoner for as many days before staging his escape. I would even... Okay, can I ask a weird question? Because I succeeded on the politics check. How much of a cold bastard is the sheriff? Is this sheriff? Is he a cold bastard?
That is his reputation. He is known for being very controlled and very ruthless and very precise.
Coldmorn will say as he leans back in his chair, tapping his temple ever so softly with a single finger, like he's thinking, before he'll say, "We could even give them a gift, these hunters. Something to sweeten the pot and convince them of our incompetence." He looks at the sheriff and he says, "There are several notable locations in this city where, shall we say, gangs of kindred of a more unreliable and undesirable sort are known to congregate." He doesn't finish the point, but he leaves it hanging in the air, very much clear. We could give him a small list of names and places to make him seem credible. Names that he quote-unquote overheard us speaking of before his daring escape.
The sheriff. You notice that the sheriff really does maintain his reputation. He barely expresses himself at all. Um, it's actually almost strange. Like, he appears stone faced to the point where he almost looks like it doesn't seem human really.
I know, out of character, I know what bloodline he is, so it makes complete sense.
But he does contemplate this for a moment.
Would you like me to make a roll to convince him this is a good idea, or like you good with as is?
No, he'll just reply. It would render the story of his escape less dubious. However, it would also incentivize the hunters to continue their search.
I quite agree.
We would need a means to prevent them from gaining momentum.
A means to have them. Read back the list of names that we actually possess. Because we do possess some names of their organization.
He'll read the 3 to 4 names back to you. It just appears to appear to be individuals of around his ranking level, basically well trained and well armed, but ultimately foot soldiers.
Ultimately, yeah, no, that's entirely fine. He'll say, Well, the answer, Sheriff, is simple. We need time and we need breathing room. We need to be able to gather our strength and we need to be able to pick them out like a nest of vipers from our influence bases. This will take time and it will give us time to find the mole. And if a few Carthians need to be sacrificed for the greater good, let them gain momentum in the right places, whilst we do what we do best and coil the serpent. It will give the Invictus breathing room. And, he smiled softly, enable certain enterprising kindred to arrange boons in exchange for aiding our poor beleaguered brothers and sisters in the Holocaust that is to come.
The sheriff looks off to the side. For a moment, then back to you. When our mole provides this ECTC with information and they act on it, he will have some manner of trust from them again. If her station is incentivized for mitigating the damage from the initial backlash of this mole and him rejoining with the information that we provide him, he will be able to prepare us for their next strikes.
At which point we may either choose to be benevolent and gain prestation, or merciless and let something that we do not value be cut away. As a sign of this, he raises a finger and he says, "Correct me if I'm wrong. A symbol. Symbols are very important little things. Is there still, because we've spoken about it in a previous scene, is there still a pack of anarchs who occupy Wembley Stadium?"
Wembley? No. However, I am aware that the Hounslow Banshees claim Twickenham Stadium as part of their wider domain.
Of course, Twickenham. My apologies. Out of character, I fucked up Wembley and Twickenham. Yeah. But he will say, "A message being sent." And then, as I said, when our mole, or indeed, he points back toward the list of 4 names, moles, plural, begin to feed us information whilst it is we search for their mole in our ranks and attempt to weed out their influences in the mundane populace, we will be able to, as I say, either claim prestation for aid or simply allow them to be the weed to be removed. And everyone in the unconquered will profit.
Or, Travelon will say, we could kill him here. Keeping him alive is a risk.
Yes. But then again, in business, as in life, if you don't take risks, you never garner success.
Perhaps, but we are risking our existences. Not money. Not domain. Not even blood.
Yeah. Well, I leave this up to the sheriff. It is for him to decide. Balthazar will say. Once again, Balthazar thinks this is a good plan. So if you want me to make dice rolls, I can.
Yeah, make me a dice roll to reiterate your point to the sheriff, because Cavalon brings up a fair point. Killing him would be the safest option. Yours would grant the largest reward, not just to in regards to protecting the domain, but in regards to or the elimination of the threat, but also in regards to continuing to propel the Invictus to power. Killing him obviously is it's the safest play, but it doesn't really have any of the upside.
Would either of my specs in either deal making or aggressive negotiation apply?
Um,
This is pretty aggressive. I'm just going to say this right now. I'm literally
yeah,
talking
I'll
about.
say aggressive negotiation applies here.
So that's
It
4
is. It's less that you're negotiating aggressively, more that the plan is exceedingly aggressive and violent.
That's fair.
But it
7.
both counts.
I spent for Roche, so it's 6 successes.
Oh wow, an exceptional success. Then, as ever, Balthazar is a very Balthazar should change his name from Coldmorn to Silver Tongue. As he eloquently yet firmly makes his stance very clear and very well. And the sheriff, despite his. Because you think, under normal circumstances, he would take Cavalon's side. The sheriff is reputed for being. Well, for taking no chances when it comes to the masquerade. But he will consider both you and Cavalon's approach quite evenly before saying your plan comes with several risks. You intend to blood bond him, yes?
Oh, yes. And I intend to alter his memories to make it more palatable. But not only that. No. He kind of looks at his phone. What time of the night is it?
It's early on in the night. You've been here for close to an hour now, though, so it's gotten a bit later. You're beginning to approach. It's early on in the night, but you're slowly beginning to approach the middle of the night. You'd say it's like around 9 to 10ish now.
Okay. He'll say, if at all possible, my dear sheriff, the names on that list, the ones that we can identify, I'd have them lifted either tonight or tomorrow night, quietly. As I said, more moles means more information, more chance of them being placed into the next assignment. Playing for control of the board, to use a chess term.
I would not claim too many of them, lest it become clear as to the source of the infestation. They could trace it back to our subject.
True. Very well. We will begin with one for now and work from there.
Yes.
With that,
and layers of manipulation placed upon the subject, the risk inherent to your plan should be reasonably mitigated. However, if there is any sign that they have been compromised,
then they will be eliminated.
we must be ready to detach ourselves from this
Of course.
situation.
Absolutely. So, Chris, what Balthazar does is he stands up and he kind of brushes himself off as he walks over. First thing he is going to command is for the subject who's sitting there in front of him to open his mouth.
He will, as he does so, he will actually speak.
Mm.
As he says, you really think you can play us like chess pieces, don't you?
My dear boy, I've been around for over 100 years. I've seen humanity in all its forms. I know what they are. Everyone is a piece on the board, though most don't know it.
You know, my superior had something to say about that.
Oh. And what might that be?
I agreed with you. Like you said, we all exist on a board. And we either get moved or we move ourselves. I get moved.
Chris, weird question. Because Balthazar is good at this. Has this man broken Dominate?
No, he's under Dominate's spell. He's just speaking his mind for it.
Is that unusual?
Certain strong-willed individuals can. People often don't dominate themselves completely silent, or aren't dominated completely silently, but it is uncommon. It assumes that the individual has a trained and relatively powerful will. Some indication of discipline. It's not uncommon in soldiers or highly trained police officers, specialist units, or individuals which have faced or fought through significant trauma. It does happen. Of course, he's not entirely awake. You don't think he's seen through too much of. He remembers too much of what you have been saying to and from each other. He's been dominated. He won't fully remember this. But strong enough he can at least speak to you.
So I'm going to feed him an extra point of Vitae, Chris, which is going to bring him up to a 2-step blood bond with me. Because we do the same with steps, don't we?
Yes. He'll drink. Do you want to know what the difference between chess and real life is?
By all means, my boy.
Taken pieces can still be used.
There's the very click sound as Balthazar just calmly draws his sword without action, while still smiling. Chris, can I make some kind of roll to hear the inevitable ambush?
Roll me your wits plus composure plus blood potency.
Ooh, plus blood potency. Only one success, but still a success.
Within the periphery of your beast's senses, you can sense a large, indeterminate gathering of individuals outside.
Oh, dearie my.
The sheriff notices it first. You see him turn his head. What is this? I made sure we weren't followed.
Apparently not well enough.
Make me a quick wits plus composure check again.
The exact same pool, or do I not add blood potency?
Not add blood potency this time. This is not related to plot of reading.
Again, one success.
You see your ghoul glint down towards his wrist.
You mean to tell me the No, Balthazar won't be that sarcastic, but he says, "My dear sheriff, it would appear as though you neglected to have him sweeped for internal monitoring devices."
The sheriff marches on over, tears the man's arm out of the strap to the point where it physically hurts, and he yelps slightly and twists his wrist. You see him with his unnatural strength just poke, with his thumb and 2 fingers, just crush into part of his wrist, causing a great deal of pain as he tears something out. It appeared to be some RFID device.
Well, it was a good plan while it lasted.
The footsteps begin to become not just hearable from your beast, but from your regular mortal senses. They're close to the door. There's lots of them. You're not sure, actually. You can't really count how many there are outside. There's too many heartbeats sort of beating together. Too much blood. Too many respirating lungs.
So, Chris, Coldmorn sighs melodramatically as he rips the man out of his chair and buries with an incredible force, with an incredible kind of strength, and buries his fangs into his neck. "I'm killing him with my teeth, but I would like to drink some of his blood."
You can take 3 blood points a turn.
Drinky, drinky, drinky. I will take 3. Can I just crush his esophagus with my teeth?
Absolutely.
Where he throws the body back against the wall, you hear the wet slamming noise as he does so.
As you do, you hear something slam against a door and 2 separate walls.
Ah, dearie my. Well, Sheriff, I should think we should extricate the storage unit. How many heartbeats are right outside the door, Chris?
You're surrounded from all sides.
I have an interesting idea. So, are we in a storage unit as in a large metal bin, essentially?
Yeah,
outside?
It's basically a larger than normal garage. It's smaller than a warehouse, but it's larger than the general storage units you see, where they're basically just a small room. It's several times the size of that.
Myself and the other Deva both have vigor in clan, so we're both incredibly strong. Right? So what he's going to suggest very quickly is there's a door to the storage unit, right? Like a metal door?
Yes, there's a metal door to your front. To your sides, there are 2 concrete walls, and to your back, there's 1 concrete wall.
What he is going to suggest is that both of the Deva body check the metal door as hard as they can and keep running with it to essentially crush the people in front of them into the wall facing them. If you follow with me.
Okay.
because like both of us, if like can conservatively put out a lot of force, if we like as I say shoulder check and just crush into the wall, that'll at least provide us with breathing room if we get out. I have no doubt they're going to shoot, but breathing room is breathing room.
The sheriff will say, "They've likely compromised the SUV. I have a car parked on the other side, just outside of the site down the road. As a backup vehicle."
I'm not going to be indelicate, Sheriff, but as it is not one of the gifts nascent to your blood, do you require... He's basically saying, do you want me to carry you? Because I can move zippy fast.
No.
As you like. 1, 2... He kind of looks at the other Deva. 1, 2, 3... As they put the check.
So, multiple things happen at once.
All right.
You go to charge through the door. As you do so, the breaching charges on all sides, on the left, the right, and the front of the building all go off. Metal shards fly off the metal door, and fragments of concrete collide with each other as you're all covered in dust and bits of stone and concrete and just shards of almost gravel as you are met with a wall of riot shields in front of you. From the sides, come in 2 squads of unmarked officers. Among them, they are carrying flamethrowers. They are not coming to play, as it's.
Can I point out that our idea to have a mole was a good idea while it lasted? It
was a good idea.
Oh, do you have any idea how many, like, oh no, Balthazar is taking pounds of fucking flesh from the sheriff for this one. That was an obvious thing that he didn't fucking check. Like, oh, I'm getting boons out of this from him if I survive. That's all I'm saying.
To be fair, how do you check for that?
I mean, to be fair, this is a world where things like kink bombs are a fucking factual reality.
Wait, what?
Like, yeah. I mean, having subdermal transmitters is not uncommon. We do it nowadays with our special forces. Just saying, it's not uncommon, or it's not unheard of. But
not something
all right, so
would probably check for though.
Fair, I suppose, but he's still pissed.
It's subtle, like there's no physical sign of an insertion.
So, how? So, are we rolling initiative?
Yeah, rolling initiative. This is a very large-scale combat. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-turn version of Down and Dirty. So it will last 3 rounds instead of 1. And it'll allow you to take a few more actions as the absolute chaos is going to unfold from this. I'm not actually going to take initiative here. I'm going to allow you to go first. Then I'm going to allow Sheriff, then his Archon, then the soldiers.
So with Down and Dirty, I express my intention, correct?
Yes, you express basically what you want to do. You could attempt to bust your way through the line of riot shields. You could attempt to just see if you could leap over them. There's enough space for you to make the attempt. You could attempt to force your way past the flamethrowers. Maybe easier, definitely, but also very risky.
No, what Balthazar is going to do is he's going to use a mixture of potence and celerity. So he's going to smash through the shields as he goes, because, like, bear in mind, like, I assume that from a point of view of, like, meta, with my vigor which is stupid high, and my natural strength, which is pretty high, I can toss these people like rag dolls. Is that a fair assertion?
Yes. You have to grip the shields because the shields are, the way shields work is you can't really get a good leverage on them. You could just punch through them and then lift the guys up though.
Well,
So
basically, what
yeah,
he's going to do
you can do it.
he's basically just going to shoulder check his way through. So basically using momentum, but he's also going to add a touch of celerity since we're doing this more like narrative to when it comes to the flamethrowers. He's not going to try and engage them. What he's going to try and do is put people in front of him and the flamethrowers using celerity, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they can't get a clear shot on him.
Well, if you run into the riot shield, you'll be basically surrounded. Your physical cut, your human shield won't be all that effective because you'll be running into them. You can attempt to take one and then get the hell out of dodge, so you have a human shield with you.
Actually, you know what he's going to do? He kind of kicks himself up into the air, Chris. He uses his vigor to kick a hole, not kick a hole in the wall, but kick a groove in the wall, and then he's going to springboard off the groove, if that makes sense, using celerity to zip over their heads. You following with me?
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely doable.
All right. So, what do you want for that as a roll?
If you're trying to, I think what we'll do is we'll class this as a dodge. So, you'll be able to go very far because you're using celerity and vigor. Roll me your. It's basically double your defense rating.
Okay.
They're using guns. So take your celerity and double it.
Okay. So that is 6. Can I spend blood or willpower and such on this roll? Because it's not.
You don't need to use vigor for this. Are you using celerity to go really fast?
Yes.
Okay, that is one of your blood points used, so you can spend 2 more blood points on something else. Your jumping ability vigor isn't an active passive, so.
So yeah, so we're gonna spend 2 blood points into it to bring the 6 to a 10, and I'm gonna spend a point of willpower because I don't want to die.
Yeah, otherwise.
3 successes.
Okay, you narrowly avoid the line of Dragon's Breath rounds that are arrayed behind the riot shields. Oh, actually, 1 second, it might not. I got 9 again. You narrowly avoid the line of gunshots that quite literally light up the night behind you.
How's the sheriff and the Archon doing?
The sheriff is going to loosen up his jacket, take off his tie.
Oh man, the tie. The tie's coming off.
And then you see his footsteps begin to leave cracks in the ground. You see his face almost narrow, almost physically contorting as he'll dash into the riot shields with controlled yet terrifying ferocity, with strength rivaling or potentially even exceeding your own native Deva prowess. He's just going to try and bum rush through them and survive.
I wish him luck.
As a venturer, he has better chances than most. Cavalon is going to try and follow the sheriff through the trail he makes, finding an opening to jump up. He's going to do largely what you did. He's going to make a roll. Oh, and he is gunned down hard.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he got 0 successes. The gunman got 3.
Goodbye, Avalon.
as soon as he makes his play, he celerities out like you, he jumps up, but unlike you, they get a clean shot on him. And he is peppered with Dragon's Breath rounds.
Goodbye, Avalon.
He's barely alive. His body has ignited. He lands in a similar place to you, but he does not land on his feet. He lands with a missing leg and a torso that it looks like it's been ripped open as opposed to being burst open by gunshots. It looks like it's literally dusting. I do need you to make a Fear Frenzy check, and I do need Cavalon to make the same. The sheriff does not. Oh well, he's in frenzy.
Oh dear. I am good.
Okay, you gain the tempted condition. Your beast gnaws at your will, but you maintain control for now. Cavalon. Oh, he just took a lot of damage. He's taking a -2 dice penalty. Wow, yeah. He is fully in the thrall of frenzy. All my bad dice rolls are on Cavalon, the poor man. Okay. They'll need to make one last shot on the sheriff, and the sheriff will actually take that. And he'll make a roll against them. He's rolling a lot of dice.
To be fair, I'm rolling a lot of dice. I'm pretty sure poor old Cavalon over there had some decent dice.
He did.
Now he's dead. We're about to be. Are we saving Cavalon? I don't know. Can we save Cavalon?
Well, we'll find out in the next turn. Let's see. Fine. Oh yeah, he really is rolling. Okay, well, the sheriff makes up where Cavalon failed. He got 11 successes.
To bash through them?
Yeah, he mauls his way through them. He gets absolutely shelled with Dragon's Breath. But his beast seems neither phased, and neither does his body. His beast doesn't seem phased, and neither does his body. His body is torn to shreds, but he keeps on going. It doesn't even look like he'll stop for a moment. His body just piles through them, mauling half a dozen as he makes his way through.
Oh, is this fucking Juggernaut's Gate, or what the fuck it's called? I like Juggernaut's Gate. I think it's cool.
It is not Juggernaut's Gate. His body is not covered in a blood-like chitin or armor. This just appears to be regular old resilience, just keeping him together, and the just unrelenting fury of his beast. Resilience is great for enduring this sort of thing.
Alright, so Chris, I'm gonna make the fucking play, because why the fuck not? You know, like being real. So, oh god, this is gonna fucking hurt. Okay.
Before you make a decision, I'll say because you've made it quite far from this group. You use celerity, and you jump very far. There are marksmen lined up on every 2 roofs.
Oh god.
So you think there's no less than 3 dozen soldiers here.
Wonderful.
They have the entire area just completely locked down from what you can see. You can see that there are police lights on every side of the facility. There are armored trucks, um, police vehicles. All of them are marked, and they're both at the entrance. They're at this. They're on every two roofs of each storage unit, and obviously the core of them are where you just were.
Bollocks. Is the car even a safe bet at this point? Is the question. Also, then there's Cavalon. Fuck. Fuck. Okay. So Cavalon's basically at the point of being nearly dead, right?
Cavalon, for reference, took one second actually. He took three. Yeah. He took. Um, yeah, he took a lot of aggravated damage. He's very much on. He's close to death. Like, you think even a single round from one of these things could be enough? You think a single round from a regular gun might be enough? Like, his body is in horrific shape.
And he's frenzying.
And he's currently frenzying on the ground. He's trying to flee the source of the flames, the fire, the pain.
Okay.
But he's just been. It's just gonna. You can see that if he does that, it's just gonna draw him into more gunfire, more flames.
So Chris, Balthazar is about Covenant first. So he tears off his jacket and he's going to wrap it around Cavalon to basically douse the fire. I will more than likely end up taking some fire damage myself in the process. But I'm going to pick him up and I'm going to carry him if I have to. I'm carrying a frenzying kindred. I know that this is dangerous as fuck.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a grapple check because his beast will not allow itself to be constrained. So roll me your strength plus brawl, and I'll roll his.
Not a problem. Oh!
Oof. Okay. Let's see. And he's in frenzy as well. Okay. He gets an exceptional success. So the worst happens. He grapples you.
Ah, crap.
And he is going to, as his body lurches again, he's kind of missing most of one of his legs. He's going to charge you towards the nearest exit, which where you're at is just one of the gates on the other side. There's a whole squad of soldiers there.
Oh, bollocks. Am I about to have a very sad day?
You're about to have a very sad day. The sheriff leaps in your general direction but goes to leap around the action. This doesn't stop him getting shot, so a roll is going to be made against him. And he has a lot of dice too. Well, he doesn't actually. He can't avoid gunshot rounds. He doesn't have celerity.
It also means he's very slow, to be fair, so would he have even caught up with me? Because I did use celerity.
Yes, he's not catching up with you. He is leaping significant distances, but it isn't as fast as someone who's using celerity. So he's still very much behind you and is taking a lot of fire. However, he appears to be handling it a lot better than you. He hasn't lost any limbs, unlike Cavalon, and he doesn't appear to be. He doesn't appear to be. His beast doesn't appear to be as aroused by the flames at all. It's still quite painful. You can see even for him, as he scowls as he's shot. It's not. It's even for someone as resilient as him. It's painful. They will take a shot at you.
Ooh, question. Can I spend a blood point to interrupt?
Yes, you can.
So what he's going to do is pretty interesting. So Cavalon is basically dragging him forward, right?
Yeah, he's sort of... As you try and... Yeah, because you're sort of on the ground, you try and pick him up. Yeah, he's sort of dragging you. It's sort of a bit of position reversal.
So what he's going to try and do is not try and break the grapple, but once again, bear in mind, he's really strong. So what he's going to try and do is kick off from the ground and essentially try and take myself and Cavalon over them as Cavalon gets forward momentum, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually quite creative. Make me a... This will be a strength plus athletics roll. I will have... Cavalon roll against it. Because he's grappling me.
So
But
that's
you can
strength.
definitely pull it up.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Okay, then you manage to kick off. You go flying over the group. So they're not going to touch. So for one man with a flamethrower, they're not going to be able to hit you with that. You are still liable to getting shot.
Accept.
I will say because of this, you get to apply your defense.
Oh, lovely. So they're losing 6 dice.
Only your celerity. My apologies.
Ew. In that case, they're losing 3 dice.
Okay.
Guess who's glad? Guess who has 2 thumbs and is glad he wore his armor today?
Okay. So, I should be using 9 again. Keep forgetting 9 again. So that's 1 for you and... Okay. As you fly through the air, more shots ring out. And you take a hit. Several, in fact. You take 5 points of aggravated damage as your body is riddled with dragon's breath rounds.
Okay.
Passing through your skin as if it were liquid. Cavalon is reduced to ash in your arms.
I will say, because I kicked off and I was front facing, because I do want to try and save him, would I not have taken most of, if not all of the fire, considering he was kind of behind me? Even if this means I take slightly more damage.
In that situation, you take 10 aggravated wounds. And your arm would definitely be ruined.
10 ag, you say. 10 ag, you say. 10 ag.
Not sure if even Balthazar has that much health.
He doesn't. He would just survive. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevlar soaks 3 damage from range, correct?
Yeah,
Even if it would be ruined, that's fine.
yeah, it would be ruined just because the sheer volume of fire, like a Kevlar can only take so much fire, and it is really just like a shooting fish in a very large
Yeah.
barrel.
So
But
so Kevlar would take it down to 7. He can spend for resilience, which does what for bane damage?
um, it soaks. You can spend blood to soak bane damage equal to your resilience. So normally, resilience soaks regular damage equal to resilience +1. For bane damage, it can only soak resilience.
So that would mean Balthazar would be sitting at 6 wounds, 6 aggravated damage, which is a lot.
Hmm.
But I would get to save the Archon. And Balthazar is
Well,
very, very covenant minded.
you would save him for this round.
I would save
Keep
him
in
for
that
this
mind.
round.
Keep in mind, yeah.
I'd save him for this round.
There's still a whole round left, and that's assuming you even escape at that point. You managed to punch it outside of the facility. That won't stop them from pursuing, or won't stop them from letting off shots as you attempt to escape.
Yeah, no, I can't. I can't do it. Like, I can't guarantee my own safety,
It would take a
and
lot of risk.
with only 2 health levels of damage, I can't do it. Unfortunately, like I'm going to be fair. Based on the fact the sheriff is as slow as he is, I don't think he's going to escape. Because like the sheer overwhelming amount of fire, he can only soak a maximum of 5 aggravated damage a turn. And these guys seem to be able to do much more than that. And bear in mind, I actually get defense against them. He doesn't.
Yeah, his benefit is that he has, well, from what you know, he has an immense amount of resilience.
Yeah, but still, he can only soak a cap of 5.
Hmm.
And if they're constantly doing 8, 9, 10, and he must move slower than I do, you know,
Hmm.
this is really sticky. Like,
Yeah, you're in a extremely dangerous situation right now. The sheriff has not been bound by anybody. He isn't as fast as you, but like you, he's been taking use of the vertical mobility that the hunters don't seem to have. They're set up on the roofs, but obviously they can't jump immense heights.
yeah. So I'm gonna have to let the Archon die. In which case I'll take 5 aggravated damage, which would be lowered by 3 because of my armor, and lowered by 1 because of the expenditure of blood, because I've only got 1 resilience. So that would be a total.
That resilience will convert one of those aggravated wounds to lethal passively. That's one of the things resilience does passively.
Okay, so that means I only take a single lethal damage.
If you're taking, if you're absorbing of your armor and your resilience, then yes, you'll only take a single lethal. So your armor gets the pierced armor condition, which is basically your armor doesn't function because it's just been pierced or ripped apart
Slag.
through. Yeah, either two of the sources are either armor piercing rounds or just sheer volume of fire, which result in the tilt. In this case, it's volume of fire. But it does its job. It saves you for the next 10 or so seconds. Kavlon is reduced to greasy ash in your hands, leaving nothing but his peacoat behind.
I will treasure the peacoat.
As he dies, screaming in thrall to the beast. The sheriff has not actually taken much damage, but he's still ways off from you. He hasn't made it to the exit yet.
Seeing as Archon died, does that prompt a frenzy check?
Considering how pro-Covenant you are, I'd say yes.
Oh, crap.
And you take a -1 dice penalty because of attempted condition. You can spend willpower. You can spend multiple turns of willpower.
I'm okay. 2 successes, down from 6 to from 6 to 5. So I'm okay.
Attempted condition is now -2, but you maintain control. You do not give in to your anger. This is not the time. So, with that said and done, the sheriff manages. Sheriff didn't actually give the sheriff his action. I did. I just had the people shoot at him. And we'll give him his dice to absolutely. Yeah. Unlike Cavalon, the sheriff is doing much better. He takes that gunfire. It sears his flesh, ruins his suit, scars his face, but he will move to charge down the squad at the gate. He's momentarily engulfed in Dragon's Breath fire and True Fire, but busts through them all. Even shoving aside, or really just shoulder barging aside, the right side of one of the trucks as he just forces his way through. You see him look around for a moment. For a Kindred Frenzy, that seems a bit odd for someone to sit around and remain calm in frenzy. But he looks, he spots you, and he goes to follow.
He's following me, or I'm following him?
I assume you're heading towards the vehicle.
Fair. All right, so yeah, we're going to make our way towards the vehicle.
Okay. You make your way towards the vehicle. It is rather alone, in a spot that would normally be considered discreet if you didn't have hunters making their way to your location. High or low, Evan?
Do I get to roll the dice?
You can roll the dice.
In case it's me, so I'll say hi and I'll roll the dice. Give me just a second to go back to the Discord group where we're in. A 9, I was right.
Okay. The car hasn't been compromised.
Oh, thank God.
It's safe. But you've got a swath of angry hunters approaching. And you'll have to wait a turn for your sheriff to catch up. You can just attempt to flee now. You'll probably be able to get clear.
As said, Balthazar is very pro-Covenant. So what he does is, on his action, and understanding that this is going to probably mean that he's going to draw fire, with his strength 7, Chris, what is a large item I can conceivably throw?
With strength
7. Three strength, 4 vigor.
Let me check for you. I'll actually look this up. I'll just attempt to look in the wrong book. Size. A car door would be size 5. 26. Funnily enough, a coffin.
Oh, could I pick up a dumpster?
You could pick up a dumpster, yes. You could pick up a dumpster. Let's see what would be around here. Drainage. A manhole cover would be relatively small. You could fling that at lethal speed. You could pick up a compact car. So a small car, but one you could throw.
Yeah, he picks up basically one of those metal dumpsters that places have for waste, like not the shitty kind of plastic ones, but the older style metal ones. And he hurls it at the hunters over the head of the sheriff to basically give him time to clear them.
Yeah, make me to throw something, strength athletics roll.
Awesome.
Throwing them at the hunters as they round on your location. They'll get to apply their defense, as it's not a gun. They suffer a defense penalty because of their armor. So their defense will be quite low. Their defense. 1 second of armor. Their defense will be blah 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 blah. It would be their dex wits plus athletics, and yeah, it'd be free.
Only one success, but still a success.
That's enough. Improvised weapons do damage according to their equal to half their size, rounded up.
And so, I'll spend a point of blood for vigor. Get fucked.
Double check, see if vigor applies to ranged weapons. I think it does.
If it's thrown, I believe it does. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You'll need to spend 2 points of vigor as hurling, using things like cars, dumpsters, and the like as weapons require use of vigor.
All right, I'll spend for it twice.
So yeah. Oh yeah, you their armor's not going to apply to a size 7 object. It's not built to apply to that. In fact, I don't think it applies to. Well, it would apply to ranged weapons technically, but. Oh yeah, you flatten several of them as they're flung as the dumpster collides with them. Some are thrown off their feet, very fortunately suffering only a glancing blow from the dumpster. About 2 or 3 just get completely thrown back with the dumpster, straight into one of the trucks, causing it to topple over and the dumpster to just bounce off and roll an additional few meters behind the truck. Last round for Sheriff. This time he's just going to try and get into the fucking car as you get in, because he can catch up now. There's approximately just one less dice. Okay, he gets into the car.
Which one of us is driving? I assume he is.
If you're not in the car already, he will just leap into the driver's position.
Yeah, Balthazar will sit into the passenger seat, or he'll probably since he needs since he's rushed, he'll probably just throw himself into the back seat and just kind of shout the go go go, you know.
Yeah. The car starts. It rumbles to life as it takes multiple shots. There are some targeted shots to the tires, but it doesn't matter. by the time they're shot, you're already moving. And you're not going to stop because you need to change tires. You do, however, as you're pelted with shots, they'll take additional dice penalties, actually. Because you have almost full cover.
Hooray! I will put out. I'm laying stomach down on the back seat of a car. Just saying.
Yep, they're rolling a significantly reduced dice. However, they do get a single success.
Ah, Christ.
4 aggravated.
I'll spend the blood to soak one, downgrade another to lethal. So now I'm sitting at 2 ag, 1 lethal.
But you survive.
I do.
As you
Balthazar.
drive, as you drive, the sheriff appears to be out of frenzy.
Balthazar kind of sits up in the back seat and just kind of brushes down his very ruined coat. He's still holding the pea coat, by the way. He's hung on to it. What remains of it, anyway. Just like, I'm sorry about your man.
That doesn't matter right now. We need to get out of the containment area.
Yes. Oh. I might be a bit beneath your dignity, but I recommend we lose the car and head into the sewer systems or the underground. Cars they can trace.
We won't have time to burn it.
No. Unfortunately, once again, as he's brushing himself down, simple fact of the matter is that the masquerade's once again taken one in the teeth. This was far too well organized. How the hell did they implant something? Who even produced... Interesting. Sorry. Who even produces implants like that?
As that, I would like to know, but we won't have the opportunity to tell anybody if we do not survive. They will drive us for 10 minutes, then we will part ways.
Understood. Where are we? Actually, out of character, where is he kind of driving to?
He's driving southward. Back towards his jurisdiction. He's doing it quickly. The tires have taken some damage. They're going to, tire's going to be reduced to its barest components relatively soon. But he's going quickly. He might make the journey.
Right, so after 10 minutes, Balthazar is going to quickly get out of the car. I assume the sheriff is going to do the same. We're just going to skid to a halt somewhere because, as I said, we have to dump the car. So, honestly, okay. So I've taken 2 ag, 1 lethal with a total health pool of 8. How fucked up do I physically look?
Well, you look like you've been shot.
My clothing I know, but like, how fucked up do I look? Because basically, what his plan is, the first person he meets on the road, he's going to use Dominate to command them to give him their clothes if he thinks the clothes will fit. If that makes sense.
Okay. So, yeah, you look really bad. You look like you should be dead. What's more concerning, perhaps, is the wounds where you were shot with fire. These are aggravated wounds, so they don't appear like regular wounds. They look like a bullet hole, but they're still smoldering like cinder. It's actually vaguely painful.
Well, that hurts a lot.
He'll he'll toss you his phone. Call the bottom number. There is an emergency contact.
All right. Well, I shall see you later, Sheriff, he will say as he turns and dials the bottom number as he starts to walk.
As he just drives off. You begin to ring the number, and you hear a feminine voice on the other side. Hot bit of bother.
Bit of an understatement, my dear. I'm led to understand that you are insert name of Sheriff's emergency contact.
I already know where you are.
Good.
I have a transport on the way.
Thank you.
You'll
I
have
shall
to
wait.
drive the individual I'll be sending with the vehicle will be vacating as soon as they arrive.
Understood.
The car is marked as stolen, so try to avoid any police.
Considering half of the constabulary is currently in one self-storage or a self-storage lot, it shouldn't be too difficult. He'll click to hang up the phone and wait for the car to arrive.
What shows up is an old used Volvo with a rather sort of well-built, balding man, cauliflower ears, and a goatee. Looks like he's in his mid-40s. You reckon he might be younger, but it seems like he's just aged from being in so many fights. He'll toss you the keys. He doesn't say a word to you. He just nods, and then as soon as he tosses you the keys, he just nods and vanishes.
Did he have a beast or did he not?
No.
Balthazar will get into the car.
And that, I think, is where we will end our scene. Thank you, Player for Play. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you all next time. And bye-bye.